So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Sonic Hedgehog. So let's start the series. To stop Dr. Eggman from taking over the planet, Sonic and his comrades were engaged in their greatest conflict to date. This time, it appeared that Eggman's intellect had outstripped Sonic the Hedgehog's best efforts to battle his two best friends, Tails and Knuckles. His new mechanical weapon could not be broken by any of them. Even his tremendous strength prevented Knuckles from breaking it. All of them started running at full speed in the hopes that they might reorganize and come up with a better plan. Even though they all ran nearly as fast as sound, Eggman's new contraption was outpacing them, and he was rapidly gaining ground. Sonic grabbed Tails and Knuckles' arms and accelerated in the hopes that it would be sufficient to get away, but Eggman managed to accelerate even farther and kept gaining ground. Sonic questioned, "How are we going to beat this guy?" Knuckles argued, "If I can't break his robot, no one can." "I think we only have one chance if we're ever going to beat Eggman," replied Tails. "What's that?" Knuckles inquired. "Sonic, do we still have the 7 Chaos Emeralds?" inquired Tails. Sonic replied, "Yeah, but you said not to use them in case we needed them." "Well, I think this is the best time to use them. It's obvious that we can't beat him with our natural abilities," said Tails. "Tails is right. It's our best chance at beating Eggman," stated Knuckles. As Sonic proclaimed, "Okay, let's take down Eggman." They triggered the 7 Chaos Emeralds after realizing what they needed to do to defeat Eggman. Sonic transformed into Super Sonic and gave Tails and Knuckles some power, which allowed them to levitate and increase their strength and speed. Similar to Sonic Heroes, they increased their pace and began hitting Eggman's machine from all sides, but his machine was still unstoppable. They would need to wrap things up fast because they all knew that super form wouldn't stay long. According to Tails, they would only have a chance of winning if they all drove as fast as they could and didn't stop. They charged at Eggman's machine at full speed because it was their only chance and collided. They were pushing the machine back with their tremendous might, but they didn't break through at first. They began by creating a tiny hole in the machine, and when they had enough strength, they fired through it entirely, causing it to explode as they were taking off. They couldn't slow down because they had never traveled so fast before. They continued to accelerate until they finally broke through the barrier of light, created a hole in space and time, and left their world behind. The group of closest friends woke up in a forest they had never seen before. Tails had a sense that they were no longer in their own world, but they had no idea where they were. Knuckles questioned, "Does anyone have an idea of where we are?" "No, but I have a feeling we aren't in our universe anymore," said Tails. With a "Oh, come on, that's impossible," Sonic said. "I wouldn't say that. I predict that we were going so fast that we broke a hole in time and went to a whole other world," said Tails. "I think that's accurate. I don't recognize this place and we've been able to travel around the whole world," Knuckles replied. "Well, we'd better not stay around for too long. Do you know how we can get back, Tails?" replied Sonic. Knuckles responded, "The same way we got here, we're going to have to go super again and go so fast that we break the barrier again, despite not having been asked. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, guys. There's possibly an infinite number of universes, so making it back to our own is going to be hard to do," stated Tails. Sonic questioned, "So we're stuck here forever?" "Not forever. I predict that if we get moving quickly, we can go the same way back and go back to our own world," replied Tails. "How do you mean?" Sonic inquired. "I'm sure the hole we created, though time and space is still open, so getting home is just a matter of getting the speed up and going back," stated Tails. When Knuckles said, "That means we're going to need the Chaos Emeralds to get back." "That's right, do we still have the Emeralds, Sonic?" replied Tails. Sonic answered, "Yeah, I still have them all," and he took out the emeralds. "But I think we're going to have to wait a while because they're a little drained from our fight against Eggman." "Well, let's see if there's any other inhabitants within this world," Tails replied. In order to determine whether the area was inhabited, Tails soared over the trees. Beneath the leaves, he spotted what appeared to be a village. Returning to the ground, he informed Sonic and Knuckles of his observations. In order to find out if anyone could assist them, they made the decision to go towards the settlement. In the meantime, in an office in the settlement, Tails had noticed the village chief was ordering a reconstituted team to go witness the strange event that had just occurred outside the village. The newly reconstituted super team of Naruto, Buddy, and Pink Ninja stood in front of the blonde woman at the desk, who was known as the fourth headmaster. Pink Ninja inquired, "So what's the emergency, Lady Fourth Headmaster?" "I've gotten a report that there was a huge explosion that took place outside the village, and I need you three to see what it is," stated the fourth headmaster. According to Naruto, "That doesn't sound too hard." The fourth headmaster clarified, "That's why I'm asking you three to take care of it, since this is your first mission as a reformed team." A friend of Naruto asked, "So you still don't trust me?" The fourth headmaster clarified, "That's right, but understand, Naruto friend, if you do this mission and succeed, your probation will be shortened." According to Naruto's friend, "It's okay, I understand, but I'll do this to prove my devotion to the village." Pink Ninja questioned, "What if it comes to a fight?" "Then take them out," the fourth headmaster replied. "You got it, we'll try our hardest," Naruto said. After that, Super Team went to investigate the explosion site. Team Sonic continued to walk in the hopes of finding someone who could assist them. After a few minutes, Team Sonic saw a strange group of people approaching them. Initially, they assumed they were just forest animals, but they knew they weren't because they were wearing shoes and had strange colors. Super Team suspected that these strange animals were the result of the explosion because they were the strangest things they had ever seen. Team Sonic then decided to ask these humans if they could help them with their situation. "Pardon us, is there anything you might do to assist us?" Sonic inquired. Naruto said, "First we want to ask you something," not believing these strange beings he had just encountered. "What is that?" Knuckles inquired. "Did you survive that strange explosion?" Pink Ninja inquired earnestly. "Well, yes, that was us, and that's why we want to ask you something," said Tails. "Do you intend to invade the Leaf Village?" Angrily, Naruto asked. "What the hell?" Sonic inquired. "Are you invading the Village of Leaves?" asked a friend of Naruto, who repeated what Naruto had requested. "Hey, can you help us? We don't know where we are," Tails inquired. "I think you're all just putting on an innocent act, so we won't attack you. Nothing that comes from an explosion like that can be good," remarked Pink the Ninja. "Look, we don't want to fight anyone, we just want to go home, okay?" said Sonic. "Either that or you're spies who we have to stop, and believe me, a war just ended, so we're ready for a fight," said Naruto. "Like I said, we don't want to fight, and believe me, you don't want to fight us," remarked Knuckles. "You think you're so tough, we're not afraid of small, brightly colored animals," said Naruto, our pal. "Look, we only need some assistance, therefore we're going to the village," Tails clarified. Pink Ninja said, "At the rate you're going, you'll be fighting." "Look, we're not the guys you want to fight, but if you want one, that's okay with us," Sonic clarified. "Oh sure, some weird-looking weasels will beat us in a fight," replied Naruto. "I'm a hedgehog," Sonic declared. "I'm a fox," Tails declared. "I'm an echidna," Knuckles declared. "Whatever, just leave our village," the Pink Ninja commanded. "And like we said, we just want to ask for some help," Sonic replied. "Since they don't appear to be going, should we attack?" Naruto inquired. "Let's attack," said Naruto's pal in response. When the super team launched their attack on Sonic, Sonic's speed allowed them to leap out of their way and land behind them with ease. Knuckles remarked, "Look like a fight's inventable." "Are you guys game?" Sonic inquired. "Of course," Tails responded. "We're with you until the end," Knuckles remarked. They didn't know if these strange creatures were malevolent, but they weren't going to take any chances given the evil they had just encountered. So Naruto decided to be a little clever about it. The super team stood in awe, wondering if the strange-looking animals they had just attacked really moved that fast. "You small weasels believe you're really tough, then?" Naruto asked. Sonic cautioned. "You don't want to mess with us," as Knuckles stated. "Who do the three of you believe you are?" Pink Ninja inquired. "I'm Sonic the Hedgehog," Sonic replied. The answer was Knuckles the Echidna, Knuckles said. Tails replied, "My friends call me Tails, but my name is Miles Prower." "At any rate, why do you think we're invaders, where we come from we're heroes?" Sonic replied. "Like we'd believe that creatures as weird-looking as you are have to be evil," said Naruto. "And you'd better give up. We're the strongest team in the whole Leaf Village," said the friend of Naruto. "So it won't bother you if we go the next step?" Knuckles inquired. Pink Ninja sarcastically said, "Go ahead. Let's see what you've got." While Super Team prepared to intercept the attack, Team Sonic took their positions ready to attack. Super Team assumed they could easily block Team Sonic's attack because they were about half as big as Super Team. However, Team Sonic vanished, and Super Team stood in shock, searching for them but failing to find them. When Naruto's friend realized they were approaching them from behind at extremely high speeds, he activated his Sharingan in the hopes of spotting their whereabouts. "Guys, jump!" shouted a buddy of Naruto. "Why?" Pink Ninja inquired. A friend of Naruto added, "Because they're right behind us." However, it was too late. Team Sonic's spin attack, which was used in most older Sonic games, collided with Super Team, sending them all flying forward. Super Team got up after being knocked down and turned to face their opponents. None of them had ever seen anyone move so quickly, and none of them had been able to see Team Sonic move. It seemed as though these three strange-looking animals could all move at speeds that were beyond the reach of most humans. Upon realizing that their opponents would not be as simple to defeat as they had initially believed, they decided to ask Team Sonic how they managed to do it. Pink Ninja said, "How did you guys do that? No one can run that fast. Since I'm the fastest thing on the planet and can sprint faster than sound, I suppose I should have told you where I'm from," Sonic clarified. "So, the only person we should be concerned about is you?" Naruto inquired. "I don't think so. Knuckles and I can both move quickly enough to keep up with Sonic, even though he may be faster than us," Tails clarified. "I may not be as quick as these two, but I'm far stronger than them in terms of strength," and Knuckles clarified. "But our true weapon is the ultimate superpower of teamwork," said Sonic. "Let's go, guys." "Right," Knuckles and Tails stated together. Team Sonic suddenly charged at Super Team, who jumped in time, making them miss them. Since Team Sonic had anticipated this, Sonic leaped and used his lightning-fast speed to create a tornado, and Tails and Knuckles then launched a triple tornado attack, similar to the one from Sonic Chronicles, the Dark Brotherhood, which sent Super Team to the ground once more. Super Team knew they couldn't give up because it was their responsibility to defend their village with all of their might. But they also knew that they wouldn't be able to defeat Team Sonic as easily as they had initially believed. Super Team began talking about how Team Sonic's greatest strength at the moment was probably teamwork, which was far more powerful than their own, which meant that if they were going to have any chance of defeating them, they would have to split up and fight them separately. When Sonic and Knuckles asked Tails what they should do next, Tails suggested that they keep moving towards the village and find someone less crazy that could help them. However, Super Team didn't realize that was Team Sonic's actual plan because they started looking for Super Team as soon as they felt they were out of earshot. Super Team knew that the best thing they could do for the time being was to regroup and try to figure out who should fight who from Team Sonic. Knowing what they had to do, they used substitution the next time they were attacked, making Team Sonic believe they had turned into logs. While this was going on, the Super Team, feeling safe, began formulating a strategy that they hoped would help them win the battle against these new foes. Little did they know that Team Sonic had already spotted them, as Tails had flown above the trees and spotted them nearby. Team Sonic moved slowly in their direction to make sure no one heard or saw them coming, but in reality, they were just trying to see if the Super Team was smart enough to see them coming. Meanwhile, the Super Team sat on the ground, discussing how they could make the battle more in their favor, since they all knew that the only way they would even have a chance of winning would be to fight separately. since they all knew that Team Sonic's teamwork was superior to their own. We are aware that fighting alone is the only way we can prevail. From what we've already seen, we may be able to decide who should battle whom. Pink Ninja clarified. What have we observed? They move too fast. The only thing we know is that they can move at supersonic speeds and have great teamwork, said Naruto. I was able to learn a bit more about them, though. They moved a bit more slowly when I used my Sharingan, so I could see a little bit of their strategy, Naruto's friend explained. What did you manage to see? Pink Ninja inquired. They can all move at incredibly high rates, as you are all aware, yet I could still perceive a discernible difference in speed between the three, Naruto's friend explained. Did you witness the speed of the order? Naruto inquired. Indeed, I could tell that the blue person is by far the fastest. Even if the other two are slower, they are still able to keep up with him. The creature with two tails that resembles a yellow fox is the next quickest. But I believe he can only travel so quickly by using his tails to propel himself forward, Naruto's friend explained. What are you saying? Pink Ninja inquired. The fox was using his tails to propel himself ahead while the other two were running. So if we do something to stop him from doing so, he might only be as fast as the average person, Naruto's friend explained. How about the man in red? Naruto inquired. It would be better to stay away from his punches as much as possible because, although he was only keeping up with the other two, I could see he had a lot more strength than the others, Naruto's friend explained. We've determined their speed, but are you able to observe any more aspects of their strategy? Pink Ninja inquired. Well, I could tell that the Hedgehog was the team leader, but I believe the fox may be the most astute of them all. I was able to make this conclusion because, based on the glimpses I got with my Sharingan, the fox seemed to be in charge of all the attack plans, Naruto's friend explained. So the fox is the one we should be most concerned about? Pink Ninja inquired. No, they are all equally dangerous. It seems like each of them contributes significantly to a strategy. The red beast is the power factor, the blue hedgehog is the speed factor, and the yellow fox, in my opinion, is the brains, Naruto Buddy continued. Returning to the initial query, who will engage in combat in order to tip the scales in our favor? Naruto inquired. The super team was to cord up in their strategy to win, and they didn't even notice Team Sonic aside from them. Team Sonic chose to wait until the right time, then enter the conversation. At this point, they had managed to approach the super team slowly and were standing directly next to them. Well, in terms of who should fight who, I think it should be Pink Ninja against the yellow fox, me against the red. What did he say? He was an echidna, and Naruto against the blue hedgehog, said the companion of Naruto. What makes that the best course of action, in your opinion? Pink Ninja inquired. As I mentioned earlier, I think the fox is the smartest member of the group, thus you might be the only one who can equal his intelligence. For this reason, Pink Ninja, I think you should combat him. Even though I only saw snippets of the battle plan, he seemed to be the least talented fighter, therefore I believe it's best that Pink Ninja take on the fox. I also believe he's less skilled than the other two, Naruto's friend explained. Okay, I won't let you guys down, Pink Ninja claimed. I think I should fight the red echidna because he appears to be the strongest and most skilled in fighting, said Naruto, my companion. But hold on, even you cannot dispute that I am the strongest member of our squad. As such, friend, shouldn't I be the one to take on their team's top fighter? Naruto inquired. Yes, Naruto, that may be the case, but I believe it would be better for you to fight the blue hedgehog because you are the fastest member of our team and he was the fastest on theirs. This means that you may be the only member of our team who can compete with him. I should fight the red echidna because he was much slower than the other two, but I should fight the echidna because I am a stronger fighter than Pink Ninja, Naruto's friend explained. Pink Ninja remarked, that makes sense. Now the only problem is separating them. Yeah, that's going to be the real problem. We might have to improvise on that, my friend Naruto replied. Sonic interrupted the talk to inform the super team that they had been listening to the idea for a little while. It's true, it will be hard to separate the team, but other than that it's a brilliant plan, Sonic added. I agree, and I have to say that probably is the ideal way to fight if we are to fight each opponent separately, said Knuckles. I'm wondering though, is it really possible to separate three people who are such a strong team and have the superpower of teamwork? Tails said. There's bigger problem, is it really possible to separate three such spectacular fighters? Said Sonic. Yeah, that is going to be a big problem, said Naruto, oblivious to the presence of Team Sonic. Super Team's heads suddenly shot up as they realized that Team Sonic was already there and might actually know important details in the strategy to defeat them in this battle. Even though they knew important details of Super Team's strategy, they would still need to improvise if they wanted to be able to fight them separately and have a chance of winning. How much time have all three of you been here? Pink Ninja inquired. Sonic grinned and replied, long enough to know that you plan to fight us separately in the hope of winning. But trust me when I say this, that WRE not going to give you the chance to get the upper hand on us, no matter how we fight, said Tails. Pink Ninja vowed, we'll beat you no matter what it takes. Unfortunately for you three, since we are strongest as a team, we will continue to battle as such. And Knuckles clarified. Naruto replied, well, I have only one more thing to say about all this, as he prepared to implement the best strategy he could think of. What is that? Sonic inquired. This multi-shadow clone spirit art? Naruto screamed, triggering his signature technique and producing numerous clones of himself, shocking Team Sonic as a whole. Startled, Sonic questioned, what? Did he just make copies of himself? How many people are there? Knuckles inquired. Pink Ninja and Naruto's friend knew what Naruto had planned, so they separated Tails and Knuckles from Sonic while they were shocked by the sheer number of Narutos that had appeared. Despite the fact that he assumed they already knew the plan, Naruto told them to leave because he knew that this was the time to attack while they were confused. Pink Ninja, Naruto friend now, Naruto screamed. Suddenly Pink Ninja and Naruto friend charged at their opponents, with Pink Ninja attacking Tails and Naruto friend attacking Knuckles. Sonic tried to prevent Pink Ninja and Naruto friend from separating him from his friends. It would have been an easy task for him thanks to his great speed, but before he could take off he was held down by many of Naruto's clones, preventing him from helping his friends. Pink Ninja and Naruto friend succeeded in their attack and both Tails and Knuckles were quickly separated from Sonic and one another. This left Sonic alone with Naruto, while leaving Tails to fight Pink Ninja and Knuckles to fight Naruto friend. Sonic had a feeling that even though all of Team Sonic could run at superfast speeds, none of them would be able to help one another, because Sonic knew that the people they were fighting would do everything in their power to prevent them from getting the upper hand and working as a team. Sonic knew that they would all have to fight their battles on their own. He also knew that he wasn't going to let this blonde guy faced before him to stop him, as he knew that no one in the world can outrun him. With Pink Ninja and Tails. Pink Ninja tried to push Tails as far back as she could, to keep him as far away from his team as she could, in hopes that he wouldn't be able to regroup with Sonic and Knuckles. Pink Ninja kept throwing punches at Tails trying to hit him, but was having no luck in landing a punch. Tails was much too quick for Pink Ninja and was easily dodging every attack she made. This made her understand that she would need to make her best plan ever if she had any hope at winning against Tails. Tails, on the other hand, was already planning to make a counterattack. For the start of the fight, he thought that Pink Ninja would just get tired, but she'd been throwing punches at Tails for quite a considerable amount of time and she didn't appear to be tearing out. Even with his superior intelligence, Tails was finding it hard to conduct a plan with the continuous throwing of punches towards him. It was then that Tails came up with a solution. It was easily clear to himself and Pink Ninja that his speed was far superior to hers. This told Tails that it would be best to make her think he's making a run for it, which he hoped would make her chase and then he'd attack her with his powerful tails. When Pink Ninja threw another punch, Tails leaped as high as he could and landed behind her, spinning his tails in the hopes that it would fool Pink Ninja into pursuing him. Pink Ninja turned to where Tails had leaped, but instead of pursuing him as he had planned, she tried to grab his tails to stop him from traveling at his supersonic speed. As planned, she was able to grab one of the two tails, but was struck by the other one at the supersonic motion that allowed Tails to use them like an engine turbine. Pink Ninja felt the strength and speed of the tails collide with her arms, and the impact was so powerful that it broke both of her arms. Pink Ninja jumped back in pain. She hadn't anticipated that the tails would have such an impact, but then it dawned on her that since he had used them to travel at the speed of sound, his tails would actually have a great deal of strength within them. She wasn't sure how strong the fox's tails were, but she knew that the only way she could stop them would be to grab both of them. She would need to heal her arms as soon as possible, and then she would need to think of a way to divert Tails long enough for her to grab his greatest weapon, the tails. Pink Ninja said, "What the hell is up with your tails? My arms are broken. Did you think my tails are weak or something? The fact that I spin them around to boost my speed to nearly the speed of sound means that they've built a great deal of muscle," said Tails. "How powerful are they?" In an attempt to gain the information she required from Tails, Pink Ninja inquired. "They're strong enough to bust metal," Tails said. That was all Pink Ninja needed to hear. Now that she knew how powerful his tails were, she would be able to figure out a way to restrain them, but first she would have to concentrate on healing her arms, which would be challenging because both of them were broken, but she would be able to heal one arm and then the other arm with ease because she had great core energy control. Although it hurt a lot, she began to move one arm toward the other to begin healing it, and in the process she decided to tell Tails that it was a big mistake to tell her that his tails were his greatest weapon. "You shouldn't have told me how strong your tails are, because by doing that you've made this battle much easier for me," said Pink Ninja. "Why is that?" Tails inquired. "Because now that I am aware of the tails' strength, I can devise a strategy to outdo them. They appear to be your only weapon in combat, and I can tell that they are also your greatest weapon," Pink Ninja clarified. "You've underestimated me once more if you believe that those are my sole weapons. I haven't even started to demonstrate my abilities to you. Although I lack Sonic and Knuckles' fighting prowess," Tails said, "I always have a fighting device up my sleeve because of my superior intelligence." Pink Ninja said, "I'll believe that when I see it." "Do you really think you should continue? I mean, sure, you could have won earlier, but how are you going to fight me now? Your arms are broken," said Tails. "That won't be a problem much longer," Pink Ninja remarked, at last using the other arm to reach one of her arms. "What are you saying?" Tails inquired. "Oh, you'll see," Pink Ninja was saying. Pink Ninja began to heal her arms, and a green light appeared to show that her arms were healing. Tails didn't know what to make of this weird green light that Pink Ninja had created with her left arm and was placing on her right. He was wounding what it did. Was she making herself stronger? Was she healing her arms? But that's impossible, thought Tails. He was only able to heal wounds like that through the use of machinery. There was no way that she could be repairing her arms with her bare hands. He decided it would be better to wait and see the results of what Pink Ninja was doing. After a few minutes, the light green glow coming from Pink Ninja's left hand stopped, and she took her hand away from her right arm. She then moved her right arm as if it was fully healed. It was then that Tails realized that she had in fact used her left hand to heal her right arm. That wasn't possible, Tails thought to himself. In his world, only he had been able to figure out a way to heal wounds that quickly, and that was through the use of a medic bot. Pink Ninja exclaimed, "Ah, that's much better," as she moved her right arm as though it hadn't even been broken just moments before. Tails said, "How did you do that? No one can heal that fast." "Well, for me it was simple," Pink Ninja declared. "I'm among the best medical ninjas in the entire village. However, is the strange light you were applying to your arm what caused your wounds to heal?" Tails inquired. "Yes, it was. In order to assist me heal my wounds, I used my core energy in the strange light you mentioned," Pink Ninja clarified. "What does core energy mean?" Tails inquired. "Core energy is what gives us our not physical abilities. Didn't any of you three weasels wonder how we did that substitution trick?" disappointed Pink Ninja. Tails recalled the last time he, Sonic, and Knuckles had fought together and how they had all vanished in smoke and turned into logs. It struck him that she must have used the same kind of power to heal her arm, but in a medical sense. He couldn't understand how that was possible because only the Chaos Emeralds had abilities even close to that level in their world. It was impossible as no one had those kinds of abilities on their own. In some way, Tails knew that winning this battle would require all of his speed and intelligence, so he decided that now was the best time to attack, since she still needed to heal one arm. He thought that he'd hit Pink Ninja dead on, but then there was a puff of smoke and another log appeared, which told him that she had just used another substitution technique on him. Tails knew that he would have to find her quickly, as she was probably healing her other arm at that very moment. Tails knew that the quickest and best way of finding Pink Ninja would be to fly above the trees and look for her from the sky. A small distance away, Pink Ninja was working on healing her arm. She knew she would have to work quick, as Tails was probably looking for her at that very moment. Thankfully, she was able to heal this arm quicker than the other one and was close to being done already. On Tails' end, flying above the trees had quickly let him spot Pink Ninja, and he started charging towards her location. Pink Ninja looked behind where she was sitting and saw Tails charging at her. She quickly jumped out of the way, letting Tails hit the ground. Looking at the state of her arm, Tails could tell that it had already been healed and she was back to full strength. The Pink Ninja declared, "Now the fight really begins." Tails pulled out his energy ball arm cannon to make the battle more difficult for the Pink Ninja. "All right, if that's how you want it, serious I'll get," he said. With this strange device he had just placed on his arm, Pink Ninja had no idea what Tails was going to do. Suddenly, Tails aimed his cannon toward Pink Ninja, who were prepared to fire. "You should probably know that this is going to hurt if you don't move," cautioned Tails. "What is that stupid-looking thing? Are you going to shot an attack at me?" laughed Pink Ninja. Tails remarked, "That's right, you're smarter than you look." "Oh well, take your best shot," ironically said Pink Ninja. He did as she asked because he didn't like the way Pink Ninja was making fun of his invention, and to Pink Ninja's utmost surprise, a huge ball of energy shot from the cannon. Fortunately, Pink Ninja was fast enough to react and jumped out of the way of the attack, because she didn't like the way the energy ball that Tails had shot from his arm looked, and she knew it was wise to avoid any more attacks. Pink Ninja was too preoccupied with the first attack to notice that Tails had launched another attack in her direction, and the ball of energy collided with her, hitting her out of the air and landing on the ground. She knew that she would have to be more cautious now that she knew Tails had devices that helped him in battle, so she would have to find a way to surprise him. When Pink Ninja said, "So, you have more tricks up your sleeve than I thought?" "I'm sure you know by now, I'm the smart one of the team," said Tails. When Pink Ninja remarked, "Yeah, and I'm the smart one of my team," Tails remarked, "So, that's why I'm the one fighting you." "That's right, and you've showed me one of your tricks. Now it's time I show you one of mine," Pink Ninja said. Fortunately for Pink Ninja, she knew that Tails was going to attempt another energy ball attack and used another substitution, leaving Tails unsure of her whereabouts. Pink Ninja suddenly leaped towards Tails to try to attack him, but Tails had anticipated this and shot another energy ball at Pink Ninja. "Where she'd go?" Tails shouted. "Right here," the Pink Ninja shouted. Tails turned and saw that Pink Ninja was charging fist first towards him from the sky. Tails knew he didn't have time to counter, so he jumped as far away as he could. Thankfully, Pink Ninja missed Tails and hit the ground, but then the ground started to crumble around them. Tails lost his footing for a bit, but quickly found it again. After seeing the force of Pink Ninja's punch, he knew that he would die if she managed to punch him. Tails knew this was another core energy ability, and he would have to be even more careful and smart if he was to survive. Tails quickly got back to what he was doing, as Pink Ninja jumped towards him and started throwing more punches. Thanks to Tails' speed, he was able to dodge her punches, but he would have to be more careful now that he knew of her strength. Tails had a feeling she wasn't going to tire out soon, so he would have to do more than dodge. He felt he would have to get an advantage by getting more mobility, so once he was far enough away, he started spinning his tails like a helicopter and took off into the air. Pink Ninja was shocked to see Tails in the air, utilizing his tails like a helicopter to generate lift and take off. How could the little yellow fox she was battling manage to fly like that? Pink Ninja said from the ground, "Hey, that's impossible. You shouldn't be able to fly like that. And if you use your tails like that, they should get tangled." Tails said from the air, "So, says the girl who used magic to heal her arm, who says I can't fly. Well, it contradicts logic to spin your tails in that manner. They ought to become tangled and incapable of producing lift, Pink Ninja clarified. Tails remarked, well, I'm a genius and I say it's possible. How intelligent do you believe you are? Pink Ninja inquired. Well, I think my IQ is about 300, Tails said. 300, that's impossible, thought Pink Ninja. Pink Ninja thought. Since no one she knew had an IQ even close to 300. Not even her friend Shikamaru, who was the smartest person she knew. The Pink Ninja began to wonder if the fox was just bluffing to catch her off guard. She decided to put it out of her mind for the time being because, although she could tell the fox was smart, she was smart too, and she could tell that Tails was putting a lot more strain on his body while he was flying, so she knew he would only be able to speak for a brief period of time. Well, no matter how smart you say you are, you can't stay up there forever, said Pink Ninja. Fortunately for Tails, he still had the advantage because, unbeknownst to Pink Ninja, he always carried a huge supply of bombs. Tails knew she was correct. He was already beginning to feel exhausted after only 2 minutes in the air. I'm sorry to say, but I'm ending this right now, Tails replied. Oh, I see. How are you going to accomplish that? Pink Ninja inquired. Like this, Tails remarked. Tails got his bomb supply out and started dropping many bombs down near Pink Ninja onto the ground. Pink Ninja had no idea what Tails was dropping at first, but once the first one hit the ground, she could see that it was a bomb and she decided to wait until all of the bombs dropped, then jump before they exploded, hoping she'd be able to jump high enough. Once all the bombs were on the ground, she jumped as high as she could and not a second too soon, as the bombs exploded beneath her. Pink Ninja thought she was out of harm's way, but just then Tails stopped flying, fell towards her and hit her with the great strength of his tails. Luckily, Pink Ninja had blocked the attack with her arms, but was now plummeting towards the ground with Tails following her, ready to attack again. Tails attempted another attack with his tails, but Pink Ninja was prepared for his attack this time, and when he came to hit her with his tails, she hit them with one of her super powerful punches. Tails felt his valued tails break from the amount of power that had collided with them. Tails hit the ground hard, but fortunately only had his broken tails. He knew that unless he healed his tails quickly, he wouldn't be able to win, so he bought his medical bot in case he had been injured this badly. His only concern now was whether he would have time to heal them while being attacked by Pink Ninja. Tails hoped that Pink Ninja would be distracted long enough to wait until he had finished healing his injuries. He pulled out his medibot just as Pink Ninja appeared nearby to resume the fight. Pink Ninja said, I know your tails were broken in that attack, but it's over, Fox. True, my tails are badly damaged, but I'm not finished yet, Tails replied. Well, what else are you capable of? Pink Ninja inquired. This, said Tails as he raised his medibot over his head and turned it on to begin bandaging his injuries. Is that strange device meant to aim laser beams at me? Pink Ninja inquired. Maybe it does and maybe it doesn't, Tails replied, procrastinating as long as possible to allow his tails to recover completely. Since her opponent's most helpful weapons were now destroyed, Pink Ninja mockingly said, well, if it's so powerful, why don't you attack me? She was unaware that his tails were mending while they were conversing. Through his teeth, Tails lied and said, because it takes a while to charge up, in order to prolong the period of time that his tails took to mend. Pink Ninjas were getting ready to charge when they said, well then, I'll just destroy it, before you can attack. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Tails replied, continuing to procrastinate because his wounds weren't completely healed. Why is that? Confused, Pink Ninja asked. Because, if you destroy this machine, it'll explode and kill both you and me, Tails said, his voice uncertain. I find that hard to believe, as you stuttered during that last sentence, said Pink Ninja. Well, either way, it's too late for you to do anything about it, said Tails. Why is that? Pink Ninja inquired. Because I've fully recovered from my injuries during the time we've been speaking, and this machine is truly a medical bot. As if they had never been broken, Tails moved his tails and removed his Medibot from his head to explain. Pink Ninja couldn't believe what she was seeing. She knew that she wouldn't get another chance like that, so if this fight was going to end, it was now or never. Tails had been able to heal his wounds just as quickly as she had, but he had done so by using machinery rather than medical technique. Tails remarked, "Okay, let's go," preparing to engage in combat once more. "Sure, but I warn you this ends now," Pink Ninja said. "And how exactly do you intend to terminate it right now?" Tails inquired. "Like this," Pink Ninja remarked, hurling a flash bomb close to Tails. This was all the time Pink Ninja needed to sneak behind Tails and grab both of his tails because she had a feeling that the battle was hers and had just grabbed the fox's most powerful weapon, his tails. When someone grabbed Tails' tails, Miles looked behind him and saw that Pink Ninja had a firm grip on both of them. Tails was instantly blinded by the sudden light that had just been forced upon his eyes. He couldn't see anything, and even though the light had stopped, he needed time to get his eyes used to the normal light again. "This fight is mine. I know you're nothing without these things. As soon as I break them again, you're done for," said Pink Ninja. "Do you really believe that without my tails, I'm so defenseless?" Tails inquired. Pink Ninja said, "Of course it's obvious to everyone that they're your greatest weapon. While that might be true, I'm not completely useless without my tails," said Tails. "Okay, what else are you capable of?" Did Pink Ninja still think she had one? "Are you interested in seeing?" Tails tapped his right tiptoe on the ground in preparation for a run as quickly as possible. Pink Ninja replied, "Sure, do your best if you can." Tails finished tapping his toes and remarked, "Okay, if that's what you want," before preparing to run. Pink Ninja was shocked to see how fast Tails was running. She had assumed that he would be completely slow without using his tails, but he was running so fast that she was having trouble keeping up, so she asked if she could find out how he was still going that fast. Tails suddenly started running as fast as he could, reaching his top running speed of 100 miles per hour very quickly. "How are you moving so quickly?" "According to my acquaintance Naruto, your tails are the main source of your speed," Pink Ninja yelled. "Yes, I can run at 100 miles per hour without using my tails, so even though I need to use them to fly and keep up with Sonic's pace, I can still run at extremely high rates," Tails shouted in response.